Hello. On this episode of the Serious Sellers podcast, we're sitting down with John Aspinall from PickFu. He will be talking through how Amazon shoppers see your product in search, what grabs their attention, what makes them click, and how you can stand out from the competition. Especially because your goal as a seller is really to stop the scroll and persuade the consumer into purchase. Get ready to refine your click-through rate strategy with powerful shopper behavior insights.
How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world.
There's a lot of really smart people out there, and we have one of them on the show today. It's John Aspinall. John has been around in this business for, I don't know exactly how long, but a while. I've seen him posting. He worked for an agency for a while and was doing a live podcast where he would do these like teardowns of listings live. And people would submit their listing and he would just tear them down live. And I went on a couple times with him. And then he left and now he's working over for PickFu. And he's also got his own little thing that he's starting up. He might talk about that a little bit. But his expertise is when it comes to images and like listings and actually how to get that conversion rate much higher and how to actually get people to actually click into your listing, because it's not just your price and your title, but if they don't click, and I always say people buy photos on Amazon, they don't buy products. And so if you don't have the right imagery and not conveying the right message, you're not conveying that message in literally a second, maybe 2 seconds in the most, and not saying that's me, that's what I want, you're missing the mark. And so he's an expert at that. So he's going to be sharing some cool stuff around that, and around listing optimization, and around how to actually really dive into the psychology and the what it really takes to actually get that click. And so I'm excited to have him on today. It's going to be some good stuff.
So when you go to Amazon, the search is super important. Now, a lot of folks can argue, hey, I know what I'm going to go get. I'm just going to go and get specifically that. That can happen if you're very brand focused. And when I say brand focused, the first thing that comes to my mind is not hey dudes, sorry, dude wipes. Right. So if I think of, wipes for me as a guy, I'm automatically going to go to dude wipes. Now, when I do that and I take a look at this SERP, when I'm specifically going for dude wipes, am I going to be influenced by someone like Lume or, Pure Sonic? Probably not so much, because I know I'm specifically going there for that brand, unless it's super, super compelling. Now, if I just take a look down here a little bit further, what's standing out? Am I looking at a lot of packs? Do I see any kind of color variations? This one I think is a mint or a digestive enzyme. That's interesting. But you could see down here, nothing is really calling out to me for something like this. If I wasn't going to buy the dude wipes, for example, I need another value prop over here. So you can see Amazon is in certain categories, the Wild West. And when I say Wild West, I mean like you can do call outs over here as seen on Shark Tank, boxes that typically don't exist, that are just renders, dead pixel real estate space up here. And this is very lightly going into it when you go into the supplement category. Like, look at this right here. This person's holding up a giant, that's a massive wipe. So that's interesting to me. That's a little bit of a pattern interrupt there. And they're running ads on it. So when you're taking a look at this, you want to take a look at the SERP and understand where you land on that. So this is a 5-buy SERP. I don't know what everyone else calls it. Kevin, I don't know if you have the jargon on it. I call this kind of SERP a 5-buy. And the reason I call it a 5-buy is because if you look into electronics is a 1-buy. So that's meaning one up and down. So if you're in this kind of category, it's even more important to make sure that your main hero image is the best image, because it's not like the 5-buy where you have the option to be number 2, 3, 4, 5 in that row. It's really kind of segmented straight down like this. So let's go into supplements, for example, right? Let's say men's multivitamin. No, actually men's supplements. I don't want to go that granular. So supplements is indeed the Wild West, because you can do almost anything and everything over here. 90% of the boxes that you will see here are renders, and they're not coming with the actual product. So when you take a look at that, why would they even do that? Well, they're doing that because they want to stand out from the SERP. So just take a look at these two right here. So Nordic Naturals is a massive company. But if you take a look at these two right here, which is more compelling to you? it's going to be the one with the box, something with more elements inside of it. And if you have anything with a flavor prop, so like a flavor profile or anything like that. So if I go to blueberry, no, let's just type in creatine gummies. I don't know why creatine gummies are exploding in the space. If anyone's looking to start something, creatine is where it's at apparently. So you can see over here, we're hit with splashes, showing the product, the flavor profile, all this kind of stuff over here. Now, if you were in this space and you didn't do this, well, you're going to be lost in the sauce. You're not going to be found. But this is why it's super important to stand out and have a really good main hero image, because it's going to save you a ton of money. And you're like, John, I just want to make money. I don't want to save money. Well, at the end of the day, if Bare Balance didn't show me, if I remove these blueberries over here and they're running ads on this, and if I didn't see the blueberries here, how do I know that it's blueberry? Just because it's blue doesn't mean it could be raspberry, anything like that. So if they didn't have these flavor profiles here and it's a paid ad and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks cool. And I click on it and then I get to the product detail page and it's blueberry flavored. And I'm like, ugh, I hate blueberry. I'm out of here. Well, your ACOS is going to go up. Your tacos goes up. Ad spend goes up. Sales don't. And that's not really good. So when you see these kind of things down here, look at this right here. See this right here, 120 gummies. Sorry, whoever this is, I'm clicking on your ad. Please don't kill me. This 120 gummies, this sugar-free right here, those are all post edits, meaning when you buy this product, I'm 90% sure the 120 gummies isn't there, but I'm 1,000% sure the sugar-free isn't because it's flying off the packaging. So it's not going to be there. And if you're ever wanting to take a look and see, is it really inside? Well, just take a look at the reviews. And if there's images, like take a look here. Ta-da, that 120 is not there. But is that going to stop anyone from giving them a 5-star review? No, because it's a utilitarian product. It's a non-giftable product. And I'll show you an example about where you'd want to be careful with giftable products. But you could see here, if they didn't have 120 gummies up here, if they didn't say sugar-free over here, if they didn't say made in the US, and they didn't have all this stuff over here, well, then they're just saying it's creatine monohydrate gummies. And I have questions about that. I want to know how many gummies it is and all that kind of stuff. So with that, where would I take this one to make it a little bit better? And I'm sure you're watching this and you're like, how can you going to throw more stuff on this? Well, the thing is, we say sugar-free, we say 5,000 milligrams, but what does 120 gummies mean? Does that mean 120-day supply or a 4-month supply? Or do I have to take 3 gummies per day and it's not that much? So if I was consulting with a brand on this, I would take a look at their nutrition facts or how the dosage is. And by the way, we're talking about CTR, but when you come down here to the PDP or the product detail page, when you want to increase your CVR, tell people how many you're supposed to take, because you can see here that, great, I like the us versus them with this. This is extremely wordy and it's not showing the product at all. This is extremely wordy and very scientific. There's a better way. You always want to have the product or the avatar inside of it. So I see no people here. So us versus them, that's good. I don't see any people, anything like that. So here we go. It's 4 gummies per serving. So it's a 30-day supply. So that's the reason why they were not going to run with, because 120 gummies sounds better than saying a 30-day supply. But to maintain transparency and prevent negative reviews or anything like that, you want to at least tell folks in the image stack how many they're taking or they have to take, and not have to wait to get to the bottom last image here to then go and search for it, because people aren't going to do that kind of stuff. Now that we're on this one over here, you see the color variations over here for the different flavors. Don't ever use cartoons. It doesn't resonate with people. People want to see real fruit and that kind of thing. So that's one quick thing over there. But when I come down here, I still want to know, okay, take 4 gummies, but see how much work I really had to do to find that out. And it's really, really important that you understand when we're talking about where you land on the SERP is how you're going to be positioned in the market. And that's not a matter of, okay, well, if I'm at the top, I'm great. You could be paying for placement at the top of search. You could be running brand ads up here. But if you're not saying the message and making the most compelling value prop in your hero image, no one's going to click. And then you could argue, oh, John, look, force factor barely does anything. Well, force factor is killing it in the space. They really don't have to. Could they if they want to make more money? Sure. But they're probably complacent and they're just like, no big deal. So you see this here, 120 gummies made in US. This, I kind of coined this as dead pixel real estate space. So if you see any kind of jars or anything like that, this space is 100% dead space that you could be putting a value prop on. So when you see this here, like creatine monohydrate gummies, I don't know what flavor that is. I have no idea. So I think it's strawberry, but I'm not going to do that kind of scrutiny if I'm looking to buy something. I just want to go down and see. So that's why it's super important from the SERP. And by the way, I know you're thinking in your heads, oh, John, you said I could do this with everything. Yeah, almost. If you're selling shoes or footwear, this does not apply to you. I do not know what it is with Amazon, probably acquiring Zappos all those years ago, but certain categories is not the Wild West. It's as east as possible. Like you cannot do that kind of stuff. So anything in shoes, most apparel. So if you look at like women's, shirts, you're typically going to see the model with the face cropped. You're not going to see those post edits, anything like that, or value props shown over there. Sometimes you'll see this, and that might be okay. But typically in apparel, most apparel, shoes, and media and books, that's really kind of the no-fly zone. But everything else, like supplements, electronics, look at this. If I take a look at, I don't have lightning cable anymore. I have USB-C cable. If I type in USB-C cable, you're going to see all this stuff. You're going to see a lot of these glows over here, these post edits for the sizes, these little kind of articulating arrows over here showing the strength and all that kind of good stuff. So what does that mean? What's a good main hero image? A good main hero image is one that I can buy just from looking on the SERP. So I will go with, let's say melatonin gummies. Melatonin gummies. Okay. So melatonin gummies, do I know everything that I need to know from this? So I need to know what it tastes like, how many I'm getting, where it's made, if it's made in the US, what the product looks like outside, and any sort of value prop. So if I'm not buying from a big box store brand that I would see in like a local drugstore, that's the stuff that I want to know. So perfect, right here. So I see it's melatonin gummies. I see the gummy outside. I see it's a 60-day supply. That's good. But I have no idea what it tastes like. So that would cause me then to go in here. So you see how it says vegan, and I'm going to click on this ad. Sorry if they're watching out there. But see how it says vegan, the call out right here? It doesn't say the flavor. Now, you may assume, hey, it's purple, John. That's going to be grape flavored, but it might not be. So what happens if I'm looking for melatonin gummies and I was like, wow, 60-day supply for $22, 1,000 plus sold on Amazon? That sounds pretty good. I land over here. I can't even see that it's organic grape down there. Maybe I bypass that and I keep on going. Wait, grape? I don't like grape. And I'm out of here. And if you don't have another flavor prop to upsell me on, maybe if you had a raspberry one, anything like that. So that's a way to mitigate any sort of lost sales, bad clicks, I would say. By the way, since we're here, if you guys are using your brand story module, which you should, because it's super, super powerful for SEO. Don't do this. Don't just put like a wallpaper background and nothing else. Because if you sell more than one product, or even if you sold one product, show me a happy, smiling face of the ICP or the avatar living their best life. Because if I don't see that, if I just see like Sunday morning coming over the clouds, it doesn't mean anything to me. But the other thing is too, so how about this, right? So this person sleeping right here, why would we not have that right over here with a restful sleep? Why are you making people click over here when typically most people won't be doing this? But now that I did, oh my gosh, you have so many other, you have ashwagandha, you have magnesium, you have probiotics. Why are we not showing your complete system of products over here so I know more about what you're doing? So the brand story module is not specifically for this product. It's for your brand holistically. But the interesting thing too is behind all of these images and behind this image right here, you could do alt text. So alt text is labeling or keywords behind, so things like the computer and AI know what it's referencing. It's typically made for people with visual impairments where it can read it out to them. But I feel really bad for any person that has that and they shop on Amazon, because people are using alt text left and right. Because if you do anything like typos, misspellings, or even Spanish phrases behind your alt text to rank for those keywords that are oftenly searched, then that's how you're doing that, because you can't put that kind of stuff forward facing. So yeah, that's definitely something you want to do. But hey, what I did was I want to pull up some polls in PickFood that I ran to show you guys kind of what that looks like. So let's take this product right here. So I think I showed Kevin this a couple of times before too, where let's say you have a product on Amazon and you're crushing it. You're like, this is great. I'm going to come up with the same thing in 10 different colors. Well, should you? I don't know. And that's the thing. So if you go over here and take a look at, let's type in utility knife. So you're going to see a ton of different colors over here. You're going to see the pinks, the DeWalt's, you're going to see reds and all these other kind of things. So you might think to yourself, A, if I want to get into this space, which color should I do? And then B, if I'm already selling this space, should I expand? So typically it's going to be in a scraper tool. The reason I know this is actually I ran into this kind of situation when I was first moving into my new home, and I had to get a scraper to scrape up paint after they renovated. And I came to Amazon and I saw a listing kind of like this, and I clicked on it and I noticed that it had a color variation. This one doesn't, but some of them will have color variations. And if you guys ever seen where there's always one color that's cheaper than all the others, it's not because it's a deal. It's because that brand and that seller is typically looking to liquidate that product because it's not moving. And the way that I can really show that like immediately is if you go to pink cordless drill and you just take a look at any of these pink drills, if they have color variations, which they should, you're going to see that the pink one, this one, not so much on this one, but usually the pink one or the off color one would be lower priced than the rest of them. And that's because they've made a purchase that they can't liquidate. So can't pull up that example now, of course, but PickFu is a great way for you to then test that because you can use a tool like Canva. Anyone knows me knows I love Canva. I ride or die Canva. And in Canva, I actually did this and I'm able to take the product and just change with like simple clicks and a couple of slides, change the color from this pink one. I made the blue, the orange, and the green. So as you can see, out of this poll, really no one wants the pink, and most folks want either the blue or the orange. So it's a really good way to kind of test and make sure that either we're going to expand the right way, but also if we're going to invest the right way into a new product. But let's talk about SERP again. So I'm able to do a click test, and this is one of the coolest ones out, is you could take a screenshot of the SERP, search engine result page, and run it against your ICP or avatar and see where they're clicking and why. And this is, I always go to this example since I've been using this, and take a look at these 1, 2, 3, 4 products on the edge, this corner right here. These are all commoditized Me Too products. What does that mean? That they went China directly, took something off the rack and just put their name on it and sold it. That's what I mean by commoditized Me Too product. These are decommoditized or non-commoditized because it's a different style. They maybe have different molding or tooling. But looking at these right here, you could see the one that got the most clicks out of them was the black one that was $9.99. And I thought this was really interesting because the one right next to it is 2 of the exact same product, literally the exact same shape, everything. It's 2 of them in different colors for $5.99. And I thought this was so interesting because it was like, why are more people not clicking on this? This is, you're literally getting 2 of the brushes for half the price. Who cares what the color is? You're getting 2 of them. That's what I would think. But no, when you actually poll the audience and you get those insights, you could see down here, the common trend was, I don't like crazy colors. I prefer black brushes. I like the more professional looking. I like the color, best color, all these kind of things. And I even asked my wife, I kind of presented this to her and I said, I didn't show her the dots on the heat map. I said, if you were to buy one of these, which one would you buy? She went right to these 2. And I said, why? She goes, because it's black and basic and simple. I said, but do you realize this one right here is 2 of them for half the price? She goes, I would never click on that. Even if it was half the price, I said. I'm like, you're a stay-at-home mom. Come on, we're going to save some money. 2 of them for half the price? Like, you wouldn't do that? She's like, no, because it doesn't look as professional to me. It doesn't look like something that I want to take out of my purse and bag and use. It looks more like kind of for kids. So could you imagine if this seller on Amazon was just to change, if they had the offering, to change to selling 2 of the black ones for half the price? They would garner, from what I've seen, a heck of a ton more sales because that's where everyone's moving towards. Now, you might say, okay, John, but what about these clicks over here? And that's right. But they're not going to steal this market share away from you because it's a totally different kind of design. But the reason this is even more interesting, take a step back, is The dots are where people click, where they're resonating. So on the ones with packaging, do you see where they're clicking? They're clicking on the packaging. They're not clicking on the brush, because packaging is what draws people in, because it's interesting, it's different, it's a little bit of a pattern interrupt. So you see no packaging in this row, there's 2 packagings in this row. But are they doing best practice with it? In my opinion, no. Why? Because they're not saying exactly what it is on the box. So when you're, this one I can't even read down here, the colorway, but this one over here, Crave, so it says Crave Naturals. I never heard of that brand, but if you were to write detangling hairbrush, wet, dry, whatever it is, it can be readable from the SERP. And going back to the SERP over here, you have to, we'll stay on the pink tools for a second. See how that's really not readable? I can see the brand really, really well, but the cordless drill part is very, very small. So these kind of things you want to make sure you focus on, and the readability from the SERP. None of these guys are doing this. Mostly probably a lot of China direct brands, and they don't really care too much, to be honest, with merchandising, because they're selling based on price. But if I was someone coming into this space and you had these kind of kits where they're all laid out, what's the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to be, okay, how many pieces am I getting? So right away, people shop with their eyes, so they're looking at visuals. So you're automatically going to win more than the person next to you just by image alone if you have packaging that says 141 piece kit, 27 piece kit, all that kind of stuff. Now, some people will say, John, I don't want to put however many pieces I have because there's a guy beating me by another 3 or 4 pieces. Well, if he's not doing the packaging and showing, and you are, you're still going to win even if you have a couple less pieces, because you're making it easy for someone to make that purchase. Where you find this a lot too is in crafts. So craft sets. So perfect example. So when you go down here, I have no idea how many pieces are in here. It says 5,000 pieces. But what happens if your title is on mobile and gets truncated or shortened and you're not able to see that? So I could see 1 year supply. So as you go down, you'll start to, now that you're hearing this, you'll probably start looking at images a little bit differently and understand how easy it is to buy from the SERP. Because Amazon was actually testing that for a while, where they've removed it since, but there was a period of time right under add to cart, there was buy it now. And you could just buy directly from the SERP. And that was really, really dangerous for a lot of people that weren't up on their CTR game. So one more I just want to show for an example. What has a lot of pieces in it? Usually when I can't think of something to pull up, I'll just type a letter. So, kinetic sand. Cool. So you see how this one says 3 something, but it doesn't say 11 pounds. So they're missing the value prop of saying 11 pounds worth of sand. So this is a sponsored ad. So if I can't see it and I don't read it and I click on it and it's not what I wanted, I'm not buying. More of a Wild West category down here too. So you see the lifestyle images and that. So sometimes people think like, if everyone's putting a lot of stuff in it and I do it, I'm just going to mix into it. No, absolutely not. If I was to consult with any brand that's on here, even Kinetic Sand themselves, which they probably wouldn't care, but these guys over here, see, they have packaging, but it's adding no value because they can't read it. And I think that's one of the biggest things, especially with Amazon, Cosmo, Rufus, and AI potentially reading images. So look over here, Crazy Sand, 3 pounds. Well, that immediately caught my attention versus anything else over here, because I don't know how much this stuff is. So it says 2.2, anything like that. Now, the SERP isn't just super important for just your products, right? But also your ads. So making sure over here that is the brand ad compelling compared to the top of search product ad. When I go over here, Aquasana compared to Aqua Bliss, is this the best image that we're putting, or the best creative asset to garner that click from the brand ad? I don't know, right? But now when I run the PickFu over here, I'm able to see I'm not getting enough clicks compared to the brands down here. Now, also, this also shows a good example of ad cannibalization, potentially. So ad cannibalization is when you take a look at Aqua Bliss, they're paying to be paid slot 1, but they're also organic slot 1. So the argument kind of comes into play. Should they potentially not pay to be slot 1 and put another product up there instead? And if they were to, would these 4 clicks then go to the one that's organic, thus making them more money? I don't know, But it is interesting to think about when it comes to that. And by the way, since we're here taking a look at this, we have packaging over here. Try not to ever make someone turn their head like this to read what they're looking at. I think a great kind of line in the sand is what you're doing creating a better customer experience for the shopper on Amazon? If it is, do that. Because all these kind of tips and tricks and fun things we're talking about today, a lot of people will say, oh, John, I can't do that. I do not want to get my account suspended on Amazon. It won't happen. The worst thing that would happen is you get an image suppression that gets fixed in 2 minutes or less, depending on how quick you could just revert back to the old image. So it comes down to something risk reward. So do you want to play, keep it safe, or are you in a category where you can kind of push the limits of this kind of thing? And I love AI. Even Kevin knows I love AI. AI is your friend when it comes to this. So you can go into things like Perplexity and you can say, okay, I sell a kinetic sand type product. Who is the customer avatar or ICP for this? Now, the reason I'm showing this is because you might not know. You have some data, you think anything like that. But when you use a tool like this is the best one in my opinion, because it's actually using real-time sources and then using DeepSeek for reasoning. So it'll actually build out who your avatar is. So here's a demographic of someone that's buying it, not the someone that's going to be using it, because you're not targeting kids and they're not buying it. At least I hope not, if no kids are taking your wallet. But you can see here, 25 to 45, parents, grandparents, or guardians. So now if I go back to these images, is it hitting that avatar? Is it showcasing a parent playing with their kids, right? Or at least showcasing perfect gift for, I think it said over here, classrooms, right? Developmental play experience for children, educators, caregivers. So you can use AI as a way to understand who the customer is. So when we go over here, we take a look, family status, occupation, challenges. So here's a good one. Avoiding messy play materials, durable toys, balancing educational value. So messy materials is a big pain point for this ICP. So if I go into, let's say, Crazy Sand, are they talking in their listing about how easy it is to clean up? Probably not. So that's understanding your avatar and your ICP will help you not only get the click to make it compelling, but also get the conversion. Because in reality, if your conversion rate stays the same and your click-through rate goes up, you're going to be making more money. And I thought that was pretty much well understood and that made sense. So I wanted to get some more data on it. So I went to my favorite thing, Perplexity, and I just got the data on it. And I was like, okay, cool. Just write me this kind of stuff and see if it makes sense. And, we're seeing here typical CTRs, 0.3 to 0.4, books it's lower. What influences CTR? So like if you don't know anything, you could just use the proper AI tools. Now, ChatGPT, the free one, can do some things, but you can just tell when it's not good, right? So when you see here, sales equals impressions times CTR times CVR. If conversion rate stays constant, higher CTR, more clicks, more potential buyers. So at 100,000 impressions, at a 0.4% CTR, at a 10% conversion, 40 clicks, 4 sales. But improved CTR, the same amount of impressions with a little bit higher CTR, 60 clicks, 6 sales. So it's a 50% increase in your sales. So that's super important. And I really just wanted to put the math on paper for something like that so everyone can kind of understand. But yeah, this is a really good way to look at it from understanding how to change your direction of your business. Because when you're selling on Amazon, it's not fun all the time. If you talk to most Amazon sellers, it's not really fun at all. It's just a necessity. But when you start to understand how we can do certain things to make it better, because PPC is always going to be there. You have to spend money to make money. You have to have sometimes account management. You have to do logistics. You have to send inventory in. That's, you can't hurry up and get more inventory. You can't hurry up and all of a sudden have more money. But what can you do? Hurry up today, like right now after this call and when you guys are watching this, is you can go and look at your hero image, change a couple of things and make more money. And to me, that's super powerful because we'll take an example here. I'll take this one. And if someone came to me and said, how would I make this main hero image better? Well, I use Canva. I think Canva is fantastic. So you can go to Canva. Canva has built out Amazon product templates inside here. I would put the product in, remove the background in one click. Now, I know it doesn't look like the background is removed, but it's a white background, so you want to be able to tell anyway. But the reason I'm removing the background, and it kind of messed up a little bit there, but I would fix that if I had the original assets, is because then what I want to do is I want to go in here and I want to create packaging. And understand, when you're creating mock-up packaging behind a product that's utilitarian, no one's going to care. But if you're selling something like a mom box or a gift box, and it's a pink box and it has all like fancy lettering on the outside, don't mock that up if that's not what you're sending to the customer, because you will get negative review. So you can see here, what would I say for this? Well, on this listing, this is a cordless drill, 42 pieces, type C, right? Okay, so that's some interesting things that I would look at. So I would say cordless drill set, and I just go over here, right? So you say cordless drill set. You just put it right there, and you can play with it a little bit like this. I'm a big fan of spacing. I don't know what it is with me. Maybe I have OCD, but I have to have the proper spacing with anything like this. So cordless drill set, we're going to make it all align like that. Hit the spacing a little bit higher. Now, here's a little master class in merchandising, right? So when you do these kind of things, you don't want to leave it like that. You want to drill down the transparency so it looks a little bit realistic. We're not trying to trick any person, but sometimes for Amazon systems, these are things you want to do. So cordless drill set, and then the big thing is it's a 42 piece. So Canva has all this stuff built in inside graphics. I could just type in 42. Here you go. So then we're doing something like this, and we're saying, actually, I would probably put it on this side. So I would say 42 piece cordless drill set. Take this like this, make it a little more realistic. And then I know you're saying, John, there's no word piece in there. I got you, don't worry. So you're going to take piece, bring it like this, make this smaller, and then I'm going to put it on top of that. So I want to make this white. And I'm just doing like a down and dirty mock-up for time's sake, but 42 piece, right? One other value prop I want to grab from this. Oh, type USB-C charger, right? So I take this, copy that, USB charger or USB cable. I'm just doing a basic version of it, but you guys get the point. So USB, where any kind of value prop over here. Now, pro tip is, if you're an avid Canva user, you want to go to something called frames. And this is what's going to help you level up if you're doing your own kind of creatives. You grab a circle frame right here. And I don't tell many people this, but for you Helium 10 folks, I will. Go to frame. Now, anything I drop in the frame, it's going to automatically resize to that. I'm a big fan of the wrinkle because you can't really see it. It's like a wrinkle. But when I drop it in there, now this is a wrinkle. So inside that circle. So I'm going to bring this to the front. Now I'm going to bring this on top of this right here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. So I'm going to bring this right on top like here and make sure it covers that. And there's a reason I'm doing that is because I want it to look as real as possible. So now you can see the little imperfections over there. I could even take the whole wrinkle and throw it over the whole entire box and just, tone it down to make it look very authentic. And again, we're not doing this to trick any person per se. What we're doing is we're doing this to try and get by any sort of bot. If that's the case, you might be thinking, John, why do I have to get by a bot if it's allowed? Don't worry about it. Just tell them John Aspinall said it's okay. So you can see here, now we have this, and you'd want to do a better version of it. But now what I'd want to do is then link everything into one layer except for that drill. And I'll show you why. Because now I'm going to go like this and send this bad boy to the back. Reposition it, reposition my drill. And I can see this, right? So yes, it's going to overlap some text. That's why you have to understand where the placement is and then work around that. But you can see from something like this, there's no questions. I know it's a 42-piece cordless drill set, USB-C charger, whatever it is. And then if you have any other like USPs, perfect for mom, perfect for mechanics, perfect for whatever, it's a really great way for you to then stand out from the SERP. Because again, if you were to do that, or these guys were to do this over here in the pink drill space, you can see nobody's doing it. Not a soul is doing it. So when you do these kind of things, it's not going to increase your sales. So a high CTR will not increase your sales. Just want to make that super clear. A high CTR gets your foot in the door. It's like if you want to be a famous person, a movie star, it gets you into the the reading for the movie. It doesn't get you the movie. What gets you the land of the leading part is your PDP or your detail page. And that's where the conversion really increases. And last thing I'll say about this, when you're doing your image stack to increase your CVR, think of all the problems that somebody has. You do not want to be a want item on Amazon. You want to be a need item. There's two different kinds of products, a thing I want to buy or a thing I need to buy. And even if you're not a need item and it's 100% a want kind of luxury, it's all about how you portray that in your image stack. So when I go over here, right, they're not talking about what's the pain if I don't have this? Well, the pain is, don't you hate it when you're trying to put something together for a craft or a piece of furniture and you have to use the little screwdriver that comes with it and your wrist hurts? You don't have to worry about that. We have this here. So tapping into who the ICP and the avatar is and why your product is going to give them a happy, healthy life. Well, I say happy, healthy, I talk a lot about supplements. A happier, better life. Yeah, perfect. You see this right here? So she's putting together this over here, but is that in the image stack? It's not, right? And a great way to take this would be to, what would you rather? This or the old way of using a screwdriver and your hands hurt versus us, it's this. Then you're putting people in situations where they understand it. As I'm looking at this, by the way, don't ever put just a random SKU number over here. Something like this is probably China Direct. So that's probably the reason why. Yep. So understand, you don't have to worry about losing to overseas direct sellers because of price. It's always about branding and value prop and understanding what's the problem you're solving. If you don't know what the problem is that you're solving, you're never going to truly build out a good PDP, product detail page, for a higher conversion.